John Hopkins is an English electronic musician and producer. He started his musical career in Imogen Heap's backing band, but he soon started putting together solo work. He's, as well as his solo work, done a lot of collaborations, as his career seemed to kind of explode at one point, partly through getting to know Brian Eno, and then through that by ending up playing on Coldplay's album Viva La Vida. His first studio album release under his own name was 2001. His eighth was 2026, which is the year I'm recording this in, which was the soundtrack for Wild Bing with somebody called Biggie Hillmars. Hi, my name's Dan, and this is a review of the album Singularity by John Hopkins, which was released in 2018 and was his fifth studio album. It's my first encounter with him, so I've not heard this album before, and I didn't know anything about him before I started doing this review and the listening for it. I'm going to describe this as electronica, which is quite a broad description, possibly microhouse, although I'm stealing that appellation from both Wikipedia and Acclaimed Music. I'm not sure I would be able to tell you exactly what microhouse is. It's almost entirely instrumental. It's quite expansive. There's a reasonable amount of it has got kind of beats on it. Some of it is quite syncopated beats. Some of it is more laid back. So one track, for example, Echo Dissolve, is on the face of it just an acoustic piano with a one-hand line, but with a very carefully crafted echo and reverb thing going on that makes it very atmospheric. Neon Pattern Drum is somewhat interesting track. It's kind of dancey with four on the floor through some of it, except it's not four on the floor, it's five on the floor. It's in 5/4, and then it's got glitchy stuff. So it's quite surprising, that track at times. It also uses what I think I'm going to call sidechain gating, and I'm not sure if that's the right term for it. But it's where the hit on one instrument lets another instrument burst through. So it's a bit like sidechain ducking, but the other way around. And there are bits on Neon Pattern Drum that are just kind of the music as that gating is triggered and it comes through. There's lots across the whole album. There's lots of use of what I think of as being quite a modern sound of the reverb, which is kind of almost constant background of reverb going on that fills it out. There's a lot of subtle production going in here. One bit, I was listening to it on headphones, and I could just hear a little bit of singing, but it's the lowest that you could get in the mix possible, and for it to be noticeable, I felt like that was obviously deliberate. Musically, it's fairly straightforward. It's often got kind of two chord sequences that are repeated, but it's often quite complex stuff going on in the arrangement, and it doesn't mean that all the lines in there fit with the chords that are there. Not that that sounds awkward. This is just the nature of this of the music and of this kind of music. Sometimes the different sounds in here are adhering to different time signatures as well, so you get kind of a phasing, a phase kind of effect of stuff. There's lots of synthy sounds, but there's some real sounds mixed in here too. Particularly prominent is this piano that I've talked about, which is kind of, it sounds like a quite intimate kind of sound, and it's not very bright. It's quite slightly muffled. So when I do these reviews, I do two listens. Do a first listen that's as blind as I can get. So if I don't know anything about something, and I didn't on this, then it comes as a complete new experience to me. Then I do some reading, and then I do a second listen. But one of the other features of this is that I try quite deliberately to listen to one on kind of low-end equipment and one on better reproduction equipment. So my first listen to this was on my laptop speakers, not great speakers. Didn't really do it justice, and I wasn't hugely taken with it. The second listen was on headphones, and there's a good pair of headphones that I've got, and it was much better through the headphones. So it's really rewards listening through good reproduction equipment. So you get the depth and the subtlety and the richness of what's going on here that you don't if you're listening on kind of like a little Bluetooth speaker or something like that. Um, Definitely, this is following in the vein of what I'm starting to think of as modern electronic, which is often very intricate production for the sake of it. And it is. And I think that if I uh, no, it's not what I think of as micro house, which is where there's kind of a minimalism element as well. I don't think there is that here, but it is very intricate. There's trippy stuff here, there's beaty stuff here, there's background expansive stuff here, there's glitchy stuff here. There's lots of different things going on. I felt like it was well put together, and I found it in the main very listenable. There were little bits of it that had a tiny bit of irritation to it. Some of the rhythms and some of the effects, the production effects that are used. Overall, I had a strong response to this, especially after my second listen. So that's what I think of the album. I'd love to know what you think of the album. So can you share that with me, please, by leaving me a comment? And you got this far, so maybe you enjoyed this review. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Apparently, it helps it get seen by more people if you do the likes. Who knows whether this is true or not? Anywho, that's it from me for now.